Hey, hello, my friends. Welcome. So glad you could be here with me today. And I wanted to talk about something that is a natural part of life, but we don't like. That's chaos. Let's face it, chaos typically is not fun. It implies the unknown, disruptions, just everything going, higgledy-piggledy pop everywhere except for where you want it to go. And it can be very, very uncomfortable. But there is the need to change our attitude towards this very natural part of the cycle and how to work with it so that you don't get overwhelmed. And think about it this way, there needs to be a balance between order and chaos. Order, if it stays for too long, is when things become stagnant. That's when you have organized anything beginning to glorify and hold on to itself versus honoring the spirit of why it's been created. And we can think of different organizations, whether they be governmental or religious or what have you, whatever. What chaos does is that when something hits its maturity, it's played out, then chaos comes in and begins to disrupt and to break things down so that a new order can be built. So if I were to do this like a plant, imagine order helping for things to grow in a structured way until it hits fruition. But imagine never being able to pluck that fruit, never being able to nourish you, never being able to get the seeds from that fruit to cultivate more fruit or maybe even something better of that type. And that's what happens. Imagine that chaos is that ability to harvest that fruit and to break it down. Part of that breakdown would nourish us. This would be the wisdom that we receive from past experiences. And also, too, as it breaks down within our system to digest it, and the seeds being the wisdom, hard fought, what you've lived through, so that when you go into the future, you can distill what worked and make it better. And if there's something that you need to pay attention to, you are aware of it. So what chaos does is that it ultimately will focus on things that either A, as I said to you before, it's played out, it's hit its maturity. And it also likes to seek out areas that are not viable. So say if you're working on a project, could even be a relationship, and things seem to be going along well, and then out of the blue, different situations come up, different pieces of information over and over again that knocks you off your horse, if you will. Instead of getting angry about it, or at least have your moment, say, okay, wait a minute. Let me look at the patterns. Every time I try to develop this project in this certain way, every time I try to force a relationship in a way that I exactly see it, every time that I try to conduct myself in I'm going to say, self-perceptions that may not have any link with what's actually going on, because that's what chaos is trying to do, is to show you the gap between what you perceive versus what's actually going on. And that space in between where chaos resides gives the opportunity to create the new order. So I guess the first step would be giving you ideas on how not to let it overwhelm you. And I'll share with you some of mine. Can chaos get the better of me? Oh, yes. And it will always find the areas of vulnerability the most. So, it can hit you right square in your confidence. It can hit you right square in your idea of self-worth, or it could be, I like that old adage, life is what is going on while you're busy making plans. So have your moment, catch your breath. You can find the wind being knocked out of you when this happens. But after you've had your moment, like as I said to you before, chaos always likes to go into those areas of vulnerability, those areas that are most ripe for change and transformation. So take a look at why did it hit you right square in your vulnerability? What triggered that? So the idea is not that, oh, you did something wrong, you did something right. It's more take a look at cause and effect. When you do that, part of the ways of being able to not being overwhelmed by chaos is realizing that it happens to the best of us. It helps to move things along. The second part, to not be overwhelmed by chaos, is beginning to see the patterns. So not only where did it hit you in your vulnerabilities, but is there, as I said to you, you keep on trying to do things a certain way and it keeps on knocking it down. And for any of you who are out there who are scientists and engineers, you know exactly what I'm talking about, where you actually try to see where things can fail or where variables happen. And instead of taking it personally, you take a look at how things failed or how those variables happened in order to be able to say, okay, this is the cause, this is the effect, or maybe you missed something. So in order to not be overwhelmed by chaos, taking a breath, sometimes you just plain have to retreat, which I know that I do from time to time, or just roll with the punches. Don't fight it. Don't fight chaos. And I'm not talking about chaos makers, right? The type of chaos I'm talking about is, again, that natural cycle of things hitting maturity. Chaos comes to help to harvest, break things down, and in that space between what you're perceiving and what's actually there, that space in between to create a new order, a new structure. So what I would mention to you here is taking that breath, and sometimes when you're in it, chaos, when it comes at you, your hair can stand on end. You can just feel that a magnet was thrown underneath your compass. Normal reaction. And say, no matter how hard you try, you just can't snap out of it. Then this is when you turn to others who have that one step away, that can see things. And at times, it's just even just letting things cool down for a day. But going to others who can see things differently, they can see things because they're not in your skin, is important. And not having this be as a value or judgment statement. It's not a win or lose. Life is an event. It's happening. You're happening. In order to work with chaos, and that's what I'd like to get into, is overall see the patterns. This force of nature has many things happening at once, because what it's trying to do, in addition of breaking things down to their elements, it also gives previews as to possibilities of the future, and it runs the gamut, the full gamut. It could be from, worst case scenario, running all the way up to, oh my God, this is magnificent. So just be aware of that, where order, being its counterbalance opposite, order typically tries to funnel and keep things very neat, into vertical columns, or, as a streamlining things into one. Chaos, just like when I use the analogy of a fruit, imagine say it's an apple you pluck from a tree. Well, fortunately, that apple is not going to have only one seed. It's going to have several seeds. Not all of those seeds are going to be viable. So when you come to this and you begin to see the possibilities, you begin to feel the energetics, you observe the types of people that are being attracted to you. You see the information that is being presented to you. Some of it's by your research. Others is through serendipity, in this regard. At that point, you still have your free will. So here is chaos helping you say, this is what you have to work with, accept it or don't. Currently, with the energies and what is around you, this is the range of possibilities. Look at it or not. And ultimately, this is the results you can have. And the clearer you are on where you want to land and how you want it to feel, then chaos becomes an ally that begins to show you the troubleshooting. This is not going to work. Or, wow, this is spectacular. You need to take a look at this. So chaos becomes an ally. It becomes that innovative force, that innovative advisor that is by your side. That as you begin to say, okay, I would like to land on a new job. Let's say this, or creating a new business. Then here comes chaos, disrupting old ideas of yourself, showing you where the hardships can be, but also showing you where the resources are. Chaos helps to goose your innovation, your creative juices, if you will, and introduces you to people and things that you have not before, versus being locked in your same old job. You know, the nice orderly, I'm eating the same flavor of ice cream for how many decades, right? And then from here, using that free will, because again, it's a balance. I'm not advising, nor would I like anyone to be stuck in eternal chaos. Can you imagine? You know, I myself would not want to live in pandemonium. But once you have this chaos and you recognize that it is potentially an ally, and we're now at that other space. I know that I want to land with a new job. I want it to feel as if I have a purpose with this job. I'm not just paying bills. I want to feel that it's meaningful, fulfilling. So here, with this ally, it helps to break down the old vision of yourself, the job that you had. Maybe you haven't even made the change yet, or the universe has already started to poke you, putting you in situations where the job has now become just so infernal that it's inspiring you to move forward. And that's usually what chaos does, is it'll goad you when you've been sitting still for too long. And then from here, as you go forward, it helps for you to sit down and reflect, well, what does meaningful mean? And how do you articulate that? So here comes chaos breaking you out of your routines. And with your research, helping you to break out, to find people who have that same work ethic, that same philosophy, to help you look further into the industry that you're in or the industry that you want to go in. And in turn, allowing for you to break free of the old versions and visions of yourself. And that's really the point of it. Nobody really likes it. So like I said, when chaos comes, you could be like, well, I was fine, Skyfire. I really wasn't looking for a change. I was great, and then suddenly, whammo. Okay, again, have your moment. We all do. But perhaps the signs were coming and you didn't read them. Maybe you were fine, but someone or something in your environment was no longer viable and needed to shift and to move. So again, here comes chaos, goading you, helping you to move. So to a degree, what I would say to you is just go with the flow of it. Chaos equals transformation. It is an irresistible force of nature. It is part of that natural cycle. And the more that you understand what it does and why it does what it does, then the better you can operate within it. And from there, you can create a new order, which is a rebirthing, which is, let's face it, it always does feel good. Again, a crow of delight when you can get there. So please, again, I would welcome you. Share your thoughts. What do you think about chaos? Hit me a like if you feel that this video helped you in any way. And, and subscribe if you can. And if not, I thank you if you already have. But remember, I'm just going to recap. Chaos is transformation. It is an irresistible part of the cycle that opens the way for renewal and rebirth. Have your moment. It's okay not to like it. But understand, again, chaos will present all the base elements, all the range of possibilities. And it's up to you to cooperate with it, to develop a new order. What happens if you don't? Well, then chaos makes a choice. Jerk goes wild. Could be even more chaos until you choose to participate. So I'm hoping with my discussion today that it helps to ease you, with this. allow for this process of chaos to begin to point out what needs to change takes you to a place of being able to renew yourself and to honor your vulnerabilities. It's okay. And to be able to work within those vulnerabilities in a way that is compassionate. And at times, your vulnerabilities can be your strengths. So with that, my friends, thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Indy thanks you too. And until the next time, Wanishi. Hang loose with the chaos. See you soon, my friends. Bright blessings.